Welcome back. Members of Congress are back in their home districts this morning after a pretty active session.
Yeah, that's right. One piece of legislation that could catch some attention when lawmakers return is a proposed congressional pay cut.
That bill's being proposed by Congressman Kevin Yoder of Kansas, and the congressman, as you see, joins us live this morning. Congressman, you're proposing a 5% pay cut. Do you think it's going to go through, and what's the chance of it passing?
Well, I don't think it's going to make me any more popular with the folks in Washington, I can tell you that much. But folks back home, they're hurting, the unemployment rate's high, and they see a lot of people in Washington, what appears to be looking to line their own pockets and not focus on their interests. So I'm really trying to work hard to reform Congress. So we've got this bill that will cut the salaries of every member of Congress, eliminate the automatic increases that occur in federal law, and just really show the American people that we're going to lead by example. We've got skin in the game, and we're going to sacrifice as well. And so I think it's the type of leadership the country needs to show that Congress is on board.
So we'll soon see how much support you have for a pay cut. Also want to talk about the Violence Against Women Act. I know that's in the House right now. The Senate has already passed it. A lot of women's shelters, especially here in Kansas City, hopeful to get more funding. What are your thoughts on that issue?
Well, it's something I certainly support. We need to reauthorize it. We need to make sure it's well funded. There are a lot of programs that are dependent upon these dollars, and certainly something I support, and I think we'll get an agreement on it and get that back into law by sometime this year.
Big news overnight. Congressman President Obama went to Afghanistan, spoke to the troops. Surprise visit. The agreement that's being hashed out between that president and our president, your thoughts on that?
Well, I think the president in this regard is getting us in the right direction. I think we need to get our men and women out of Afghanistan. They've been there too long. Too many mothers and fathers and husbands and wives have suffered seeing their family members overseas, and I think it's time we get these folks home. I think they've done their part there, and we're not going to be in this thing where we're perpetually rebuilding nations and in these countries for decades. We've been over there for over 10 years now, so I'd like to see us get out as soon as we can, and so hopefully the president will continue to pursue the agreement he laid out last night.
One Republican congressman thought that the president's visit to Afghanistan was political, strictly political, with an election year coming up. What are your thoughts on that?
You know, I'm not going to second guess that issue. When we have a president overseas, I think we need to be behind his efforts there. And so I'm not going to criticize the president while he's over in Afghanistan on this issue. I think this is one of the times where we ought to be unified as a country. We certainly have a lot of things to fight about domestically here, including trying to cut members of Congress's salary, which I'm supporting. By the way, I'm also supporting legislation that would eliminate the congressional pension. I don't think members of Congress should be in the business of trying to get a lifelong pension through their service. So we have a whole series of those. But we have a lot of things to worry about here domestically, and I think we ought to get behind the president on the Afghanistan issue and these guys home.
Congressman Yoder, thank you so much. And speaking of unity, that proposal of the 5% pay cut is kind of a tip to Gabrielle Giffords.
It is. That was one of the last pieces of legislation she introduced before she was shot back in January 8th of 2011. She had just introduced the legislation. So sort of in her honor, we kind of do a hat tip to her and say this is a bipartisan bill she was pushing, and she certainly has sacrificed in her service, and we ought to be willing to give up a little bit of our pay.
Excellent. Congressman Kevin Yoder, thank you for joining us this morning. Some great insight.
Good morning.
All right, Gary, let's head over to you. Look at today's weather.